Hey, what's up? What's up? What up? How you doing? Of course, again, it's me, T. And yeah, we're going to be talking about a topic that is a little bit, it's not so much controversial, but there's a lot of things, kind of backlash going on, and it's The Woman King. And it's a movie that's out that's kind of being divisive and kind of dividing a lot of audiences. Is being considered woke, and even though there's some people like Viola Davis saying that if you don't see it, you're not supporting black strong female characters and stuff like that. But I will go against that because we had the women warriors in the Black Panther movie, and we've had other movies as far as Coffee and Sheba Baby. We had black exploitation films with strong female characters in the past. So it's really a touchy subject, and it goes across all genders. And what I mean by that is that we have reactions not only from people like on Black Twitter that is against it because it's an accurate description of the film, but we also have other people, Caucasian people, and people from overseas reacting to it too, and that's what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to react to a video from a place called Midnight Edge. I suggest you go to their video. The original link will be in the description box below, so you can watch the video in its complete entirety and when you want to, but you can watch it here. You go to there. Please subscribe to their channel. I watch their channel. I get a lot of good information from them, and I would suggest you do the same thing too. But if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, smash that notification bell, and if you don't mind. So without further ado, let's hear what the guys over there have to say, and I'll give my reaction to what they say after the video's played in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay guys, let's hear your point of view, which probably mirrors mine.
The Woman King, the brainchild of social justice activist, producer and former actress Maria Bello and Dana Stevens, is in theaters. Sony, who greenlit the movie in 2020, surely thought they must have had a movie that was with the times and would resonate with audiences everywhere, making it the next Black Panther at the box office. Instead, its opening weekend is marred by the hashtag Boycott Woman King trending, and the ones driving that hashtag hail from the black community. In this editorial, I will begin with exploring what is so bad about The Woman King, the measures the studio have gone through to protect it, and what lessons should be learned from this. Now, full disclosure, this is a part of history that, like most, I am not too familiar with. My fellow YouTuber and good friend Mr. H Reviews has done his research on the matter though. So this first came on my radar through his video on the topic, and our subsequent discussion on it, both of which you will find linked in the description. Since then, I have done some reading on the topic myself, and while I by no means can claim any kind of expertise on the topic, it is pretty clear even from a superficial reading that the Dahomey were villains. To the point where one can assign terms like good or evil, they were without a doubt, and without much grey area, sheer evil. They weren't merely slavers, they were practically perpetrators of genocide. History versus Hollywood writes, and I warn that this is a graphic account. The Kingdom of Dahomey was a bloodthirsty society bent on conquest. It was customary for the Dahomey to return home with the rotting heads and genitals of those they killed in battle. They conquered neighboring African states and took their citizens as slaves, selling many in the Atlantic slave trade in exchange for items like rifles, tobacco, and alcohol. Many of the slaves they sold ended up in America. They also kept some slaves for themselves to work on royal plantations. The business of slavery is what brought Dahomey most of its wealth. For them, it very much came down to either enslave others or become enslaved yourself. The women warriors, the Agoji, fought in slave raids along with the male fighters. There are accounts of Dahomey warriors conducting slave raids on villages where they cut the heads off of the elderly and ripped the bottom jaw bones of others. During the raids, they'd burn the villages to the ground. Those whom they let live, including the children, were taken captive and sold as slaves. The movie strategically downplays this part of Dahomey's history so as not to complicate the story with the truth. Each year in Dahomey, roughly 500 slaves and criminals were mass executed in large-scale human sacrifices during the religious ceremonies of a festival known as the Annual Customs of Dahomey. Most were sacrificed by way of decapitation, a method of killing widely used by the Dahomeyan kings. The 1727 annual customs of the Dahomey ceremony reportedly saw as many as 4,000 people sacrificed. Also, when the Europeans banned slavery, the Dahomey kept at it. John Boyega's character, King Giso, is a real historic character. But Viola Davis' character, Naniska, who demands the Dahomey stop slavery, is entirely fictional, even though there are historic references to a teenager girl of that name. Only she didn't demand slaves be freed so much as she beheaded them. In other words, the movie The Woman King takes some extreme liberties. Of course, that is nothing new. Movies like 300, The Patriot, and U-571, to mention but a few out of many, have changed some events or ignored some context for the purpose of furthering a narrative. But the liberties taken by The Woman King go beyond that, and well into overt falsification of history territory. It's one thing when a Marvel movie does it, or a genre flick like The Mummy, because they never claimed to be historically accurate in the first place, or based on real events. The Woman King does both. That is the key difference here.
So that's the thing about it.
If the producers were hoping for another Black
like
Panther, and they were, they can't be pleased with the response. The Rep wrote, "Who is driving the hashtag boycott Woman King trend on social media in protest of the Viola Davis starring historical epic that hit theaters today? Perhaps surprisingly, it's not the same people who dropped racist memes in reaction to the first look at Halle Bailey in Disney's live-action The Little Mermaid trailer. Critics don't have an issue with Davis playing a strong black leader in The Woman King, but are alarmed that the history of the Dahomey tribe who sold other Africans into slavery has been whitewashed. Time to boycott the Woman King movie. The film is about the Dahomey and Benin that traded slaves into the transatlantic. This may be the most offensive film to Black Americans in 40-50 years, wrote Los Angeles attorney and producer Antonio Moore. Let's be honest, folks. It's a movie about an African tribe famous for selling slaves to Europeans that was made into a female empowerment story by two white women writers. You don't have to be very woke to see the problem here, wrote one Twitter user. The challenge for Sony here is that there really hasn't been any backlash to the movie to speak of at all. And what there is comes from the black community and is based on actual written history. So the only real response has been, see this movie or you'll support the narrative that black women cannot lead the box office globally. The tragedy here is that if you ignore the falsifying of history, The Woman King is by all accounts a very good movie. It tells an African story, and there should be more movies like that. There are countless African stories based on real history as well as myth and legend, spanning the width of the continent, dating back thousands upon thousands of years. And these stories should be told and presented to a wider audience, so that is not the issue. The issue here is that to lead what could and should be a charge, Sony chose to back two white social justice activists in telling a lie and a falsification of history. They didn't tell an African story, they told a story that fits their revisionist and subversive agenda. That is the issue here. Sony got played and made the wrong movie. One can only hope that they and everyone else will recognize it, and not let that deter them from telling actual African stories that should be told in the future. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments.
Yeah, that was once again I said Midnight's Edge. Um, he's pretty more on point with the history of the Tacoma and stuff like that, and the backstory of what really went on in that African tribe, and the slaves and what they did to other tribes and stuff like that. And this is why I said that, to hear it, if it stays up, if they don't knock it off my channel, Midnight's Edge, if they don't knock it off, that this is why I want you to hear a narrative from someone who's not white. So that way you understand that, it doesn't really mean, necessarily it's a color thing. Just because I'm black don't mean that he's not black, I should say, that he doesn't have a comment about the movie. And he has skin in the game because it was two white women that actually wrote the script and changed everything around for a certain narrative. So it ain't getting blowback from like general Caucasian audiences or any other kind of audiences. They thought they was gonna probably get a whole lot of women, still high off the Black Panther movie. And it's kind of dubious in another way that they didn't even point out that, Black Panther movie is just right around the corner. It's going to be coming out real soon. And they may have been playing off that maybe, they'll get some blowback, some kind of, preemptive strike to get some of that audience that's getting amped for Wakanda Forever to come and see that film. Because nobody does anything in a vacuum. All these filmmakers know what the scheduling is for certain movies that are going to come out for any particular year, unless they change it. And then sometimes when they even change it, the people that are trying to play against that film will change theirs too. So like, for example, if Black Adam was pushed back another 6 months, Sony may have a film that they want to go against that film, they'll push it back too. Strategically, so they could try to either draw box office money away from that movie, or try to go out first or last, depending on how they feel about the target audiences when they have these pre-screening where people can get an idea how they think these movies are going to go. So it's just, I do agree with everything they said, and I don't have much more to add to it except that I never wanted to see the film. I did my own research and realized, okay, this is not right. I know they're going to spin it a certain way. When Viola Davis said what she said, I was like, oh, okay, then I'm done. I'm not going to be guilted into seeing this film. And then when I found out who was behind it, so I said, instead of me sitting up here on my soapbox and saying something, I wanted to say it, but I also wanted to make you understand there are other people from other cultures that are seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. So that way you understand that it's just not me trying to be, against my own or anything like that. It's just that, it's something that everybody's pointing out. Look, guys, and then Black Twitter's doing it too, because all those things that he was reading about people making comments were from Black Twitter. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below, and to your left are my archive videos. Thank you for watching. Please come back and join us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I know it's football time, so have fun. See you guys soon. Peace.